friends, welcome. Today we are doing an all levels class focused on hip mobility. So we will be both strengthening and stretching our hips in all different directions. So let's get started on our back, Supta Baddha Konasana. So soles of the feet together, knees out wide, and then go ahead and lay down. You can bring one hand to your belly and the other hand to your heart, or just let your hands rest down by your hips, palms facing up. If this feels like a lot on your hips and groin, feel free to place either blocks or folded up blankets, some other prop underneath your thighs to prop them up. And if that still feels like too much on your hips, you can plant your feet to the outside of the mat and let your knees knock in together. Just try to get comfortable wherever you are. And we'll be here for a few minutes settling in. Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. Start to focus on your breath. Try to cultivate Ujjayi breath by gently sealing your lips, breathing in and out through your nose while constricting at the base of your throat. This should be an audible breath, kind of sounds like an ocean wave. As you breathe in, fill your belly all the way up, and then let that air drift into your midsection, and then fill up your lungs, pressing your hands up toward the sky. Then on your exhale, release your chest first, then your midsection, then your belly, squeezing every last drop out of your belly. Then inhale again, starting that cycle all over again. Yoga really is about our breath. So think of your breath as primary and your movement as secondary. As we begin to move our bodies, think about inhaling for length and expansion, and exhaling to deepen and release. On your next inhale, bring your hands to your outer thighs and gently close your knees together. Plant both feet on the outsides of your edges of your mat. And on your exhale, drop both knees to the right hand side. Inhale, knees back up toward the sky. Exhale, drop the knees to the left. Inhale, back through center. And exhale, right. Keep doing this windshield wiper motion on your own breath. Few more times. Cycling through internal and external rotation in each hip. Next time your knees land on the right, hold there. Option to keep your feet as they are, or if you'd like a deeper stretch, you can bring your right foot on top of your left thigh. This will add a little more downward pressure, and you might be able to feel the stretch along your left side body and your outer left hip. And then drop your right foot to the ground. Inhale, knees up toward the sky. Exhale, knees to the left. Hold here. Option to stay here or bring your left foot on top of right thigh for the deeper stretch. Then plant both feet on the mat. Inhale, knees up to center. Bring your feet about hips width distance this time. So ankles are planted just below the knees. Bring your hands to the front of your hips. So right now you're in your neutral spine. We're gonna cycle through posterior and anterior tilting of the pelvis just to get the feel for it. So on your exhale, drop the lowest part of your back to the mat so that you curl your tailbone up and under. This is a posterior tilt of your pelvis. Your belly button is sucking up and down. That didn't really make sense. Up toward your face and down toward your spine is what I meant. Then on your inhale, press your belly up toward the sky and bring your tailbone closer to your head. This will bring the lowest part of your back off the mat. You might even be able to slip your arm underneath there. That's an anterior tilt of your pelvis. Once again, tuck your tailbone, bringing the lowest part of your back to the mat. That's posterior tilt. This is where we'll live a lot of this class, in that posterior tilt, tucking your pelvis, sucking your belly back toward your spine. Cool. Now from here, place your hands on the mat, then extend your right leg up toward the sky. Flex through your right foot, driving your heel up toward the sky. Now starting at the point where your femur, your thigh bone, comes into your hip socket, turn your leg to the right so that your toes and your knee point toward the right. This is external rotation in your hip. Now come back through the left for internal rotation. So your toes and your knee are pointing toward the left. Most people have a greater range of motion in external rotation. Now keeping your leg as it is internally rotated, start to bend your knee. This might be kind of hard to do, so that your shin is parallel to the earth. Now you can kind of see in a more dramatic way that you're in internal rotation. From here, externally rotate, bringing your foot toward your face, toward the left. So it's almost like you're in a reclined pigeon, but you're not hooking your legs together at this point. So that's the difference between internal and external rotation at your hip. We're going to be using those actions a lot today. Now go ahead and drop your right ankle across your left thigh for a reclined pigeon. Option to stay here, maybe use your right hand to guide your knee away from you, or if you'd like a deeper stretch, you can lift your left foot off the ground and hug your left leg closer to your body. Make sure you're flexing your left foot here. Breathe through the stretch in your outer right hip. An option to stay with a static hold, or if you'd like to explore a little movement, you can drop your legs from one side to the other until you really find that point of tension you want to stick with and breathe through. Come back through center, drop your left foot to the ground. Grab the outside of your right foot for a half happy baby position. So your right knee or your right ankle is stacked on top of your right knee and you're drawing your knee toward the floor. You can keep your left foot planted or extend your left leg long, flexing your heel into the ground. Then on your exhale, if you still have your left foot planted, go ahead and stretch your leg long on the mat. On your exhale, take your right knee to the left side for a twist. Make sure your right shoulder blade stays planted in the mat. Your drishti point of focus can come over your right shoulder if it's okay for your neck. If you'd like an IT band stretch here, you can grab the outer edge of your right foot with your left hand and kick your leg out to the side. So you're flexing your right foot. The real kicker with this stretch is you have to pull your right hip down towards your left heel. And then inhale back through center. Go ahead and stretch your right leg up toward the sky one more time. Left leg is long on the mat. On your inhale, drop your right heel toward the mat, moving very slowly and with control. And on your exhale, contract your hip flexor to bring your right foot back up to the sky. Inhale, back down, slow and with control. Exhale, back up, strengthening the front of our hips right now, our hip flexor. One more time, inhale down. Exhale, back up. Really try to drive your toes as far back as possible. And go ahead and plant both feet on the mat. Moving to the left side, extend your left leg up toward the sky, driving through that heel. And then on your exhale, start to bring your knee and your toes to the left-hand side for external rotation in your hip. So that action comes directly from your hip socket, not from your knee or your ankle or your toes. And then on your inhale, come back through center and twist toward the right this time for internal rotation at your hip. Just notice that feeling. Now, keeping internal rotation, start to bend your knee, bringing your shin parallel to the earth. Whew, that's a tough one. Internal rotation here, and then go ahead and externally rotate, bringing your shin toward your face, your foot toward the right. And then go ahead and drop your ankle over thigh for a reclined pigeon stretch. Either stay here or bring your right foot off the mat, clasping your hands around your legs and drawing your legs closer to your body. Either stay here with a static hold or explore some movement side to side. Make sure to flex that left foot and continue to breathe. Now drop your right foot to the mat. Come into half happy baby on the left. So your left hand grabs the outer edge of your left foot. Ankle is stacked on top of knee. Try to drive your knee closer to the earth. Go ahead and extend your right leg long and flex your toes up toward the sky. And then on your exhale, right hand grabs outer left thigh for a twist, bringing your knee over to the right. Drishti, point of focus, can come over your left shoulder here. Either stay in this version of the twist, or if you'd like the stretch on your IT band, right hand grabs left foot, extend your left leg long, and really press through your heel. Make sure you're driving your left hip down toward your right toes. And then inhale, come back through center. Lightly grab onto the backs of your thighs and start to rock and roll forward and back. This might feel good on your spine, so feel free to do this a few times until you're ready to meet in Navasana, boat pose. So a few options for boat pose here. If this is where you're at today, totally fine, with your hands and feet on the floor, shoulder blades back, chest is lifted. Or maybe your feet come off the mat, keeping your knees bent, but hands on the floor for support. Tons of options here. Next one is hands to back of your thighs. Wherever you are, remember to roll your shoulders back and lift your heart forward. We want to avoid rounding the back. We want a long, flat spine. Next option, release your hands forward. Drishti remains over your toes. Last option, straighten your legs. We'll hold here for a few more breaths, cultivating some heat in our abs. And remember to flatten your spine here. That's what's most important. And then exhale, plant your feet. Your right leg can come long, sole of your left foot to inner right thigh, so that your left knee is out to the side. Setting up for Janu Shirsasana. Inhale, arms raised, look up. On your exhale, lead with your chest, fold over your right leg. You can either have your hands on the floor, your shin, you can grab your foot, wherever you are today, maybe grab your wrist. Wherever you are today is perfectly fine. Please honor your body and be proud of your choice. Inhale, come back up through center and switch legs. So left leg is long, foot is flexed. Really drive your heel into the earth. Sole of right foot comes to inner left thigh. Inhale for length. Even a slight twist toward the left so that your sternum tracks over your left leg. Then on your exhale, lead forward with your chest, hinging at your hips, coming to your version of Janu Sirsasana. Hands can be by your sides or on your shin or your foot. Then inhale back up through center. Soles of both feet come together for Baddha Konasana. Knees out to the side. Draw your heels close to your body. Take your peace fingers around your big toes and hook them around your thumbs. Inhale for length, shoulders roll back, chest lifts. Then on your exhale, lead forward with your chest, maintaining your flat back. Only come so far down as you can maintain that flat back. It's not important how close you come toward the earth. We're really going for spinal extension here. Then inhale back up through center and make your way to all fours, tabletop position. So wrists are directly underneath your shoulders, knees are directly underneath your hips. On your inhale, lift your tailbone, drop your belly, and pull your heart forward, maybe even look up. On your exhale, curl your tailbone, round your back, chin to chest. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat. And do a few more on your own breath, warming up our spine, but try to make sure that the action starts in both directions at your tailbone. Now we'll meet back in a neutral spine. Start to flex your right foot so that your toes come toward the mat. And on your exhale, lift your knee out toward the side for a fire hydrant position. Inhale slowly and with control, bring it back to center. Exhale, lift it up out to the side. Inhale to center. Do this a few more times on your own. You should be feeling the contraction in your outer right glute. So every time you exhale and pull up, really reach that edge before inhaling with control back to center. One more time. Inhale back to center. Now keep that same positioning in your leg. We're just going to bring your thigh parallel to the earth for a donkey kick. So exhale with control, contract your glute, stamp your foot up toward the sky. Inhale back down. Exhale with control up toward the sky. Inhale back down. We'll do this a few more times on your own breath. Remember that slow and controlled movements build strength. Try to take momentum out of the equation. All the while sucking your belly button up and in, not allowing your belly to drop down toward the earth. One more time. All right, now we're gonna cycle through full rotation. So on your inhale, bring your knee in toward your elbow, and then exhale, bring it out and around, back towards center. Let's do that the other way this time. Now kick back with your foot up toward the sky, knee out toward the side, come back toward your elbow, and set it back to all fours. We'll switch sides now. So bring your left leg out to the side this time for that fire hydrant position. Inhale back to center. Exhale, contract your outer glute to bring your leg up and out to the side. Inhale, back to center. Couple more on your own breath. Exhale, fire hydrant. Inhale, back to center. Now switching to those donkey kicks. Bring your foot up toward the sky. And on your exhale, contract your glutes. Inhale, back down towards center. Exhale, contract your glutes to bring your leg up. Inhale, back down to center. A few more on your own breath. Remember to keep that neutral pelvis and spine position. You don't want to drop your belly and shoulders down here. Keep tucking your tailbone. Spine is long. One more. Awesome. Now we'll cycle through full rotation. So knee comes in toward your elbow, out to the side, back and around again. Reverse that direction. Now foot comes back, knee comes out toward the side and forward, touching your elbow, then come back down to all fours. Extend your right leg off to the side so that your toes are in line with your knee, and then come up to a sort of standing position. Drop your hand to your thigh and reach to the side for gate pose, Parigrasana. Maybe even look under your left armpit. And then inhale back through center. Left hand plants on the mat for a variation of side plank. If you'd like a little more here, you can lift your right toes off the mat, flexing your foot. Awesome. Inhale back through center and back to all fours. We'll switch sides now. Left foot comes out to the side so that your toes are in line with your right knee. Start to walk your hands back, coming to an upright position. Inhale, arms up toward the sky. Then exhale, gate pose. Feeling a really nice side stretch along your right side. Inhale, back through center, then exhale, right hand plants on the mat for a variation of side plank. If you'd like a little more work here, you can lift your right foot off, or your left foot off the ground, flexing your foot. On your inhale, come back up through center, then all fours. Tuck your toes underneath you and start to hover your knees a few inches off the mat. Make sure you have that posterior tilt in your pelvis so that your tailbone is long, your spine is long, your belly button is sucking up toward your spine. Shoulders are slightly retracted down your back. And then on your exhale, press to downward facing dog. Feel free to take any movements here that your body is asking for. Maybe pedaling through your legs or swaying your hips side to side. Then eventually settle into stillness. Make sure your fingers are spread wide and your pointer fingers are pointing forward. Grip into the pads of your fingertips to alleviate some pressure from your wrists. Really press down into your hands. Externally rotate your shoulders so that your triceps hug in toward your face. Hips are high to the sky. Let's all take a moment to bend our knees here and really pop our hips up toward the sky. Try to keep that tilt, that anterior tilt in your pelvis, and then you can start to straighten your legs and maybe bring your heels toward the floor. But it's okay if you want to stick with bent knees here. That works as well. If your heels are on the floor, maybe try lifting your toes up. Feel how that changes the feeling in the front of your legs. On your inhale, lift your right foot up behind you. Flex your foot like you're stepping on the back wall. Then on your exhale, slowly and with control, bring your knee forward and set your right foot between your hands, bringing your left knee to the mat. Inhale, Anjaneyasana. Hands up to the sky, maybe even look up. Maybe Push out of your right foot here, lifting your hips up higher. Then on your exhale, sink deeply. Do that a couple more times. Inhale, press out of your hips. Then exhale, sink forward. We're warming up our left hip flexor here. And then on your next exhale, both hands plant on the inside of your right foot. Walk your right foot out to the side of your mat for lizard. You can either stay here up on your palms, or if you have a bit more space, you can come down to your forearms, or if you have blocks or some other prop, maybe a stack of books, something like that, you can be somewhere in between. Wherever you are, get comfy. We'll be here for a few breaths, really enjoying the compression in our right hip joint. We were in a very similar position earlier in the half happy baby on our back. You can also try rolling to the outside edge of your right foot and feel how the stretch differs. If you do that, make sure you're flexing your right foot. An option here, if you'd like a quad stretch, you can draw your left foot toward your left glute, reach back around with your right hand, and grab your foot, bringing it closer toward your body. Lots of options here. Please choose what feels right for your body today. And then on your inhale, we'll all meet back through center. Start to walk your hand back toward your hands. Scoot your foot back toward the middle of your hands, and then shift your hips back for half splits. Option to keep your right toes planted or flex your toes up toward the sky. That's my preference. I think it gives a deeper stretch in my hamstrings and calves. Wherever you are, make sure your hips are even. So your right hip is pulling back in line with the left, and you're going for a long, flat spine here. Try not to round. Maybe shift your hips to the left and drop your toes to the right, and then switch it, toes toward the left, hips toward the right. And feel how that might change the stretch in the back of your leg. Then inhale, come back to all fours, keeping your elbows hugging in toward your body. Drop your knees, chest, chin to the mat, and then slither onto your belly. Hands come back underneath your ribs, tops of feet and hips plant in the mat. On your inhale, roll your shoulders back, chest pulls forward for cobra. Make sure you're really heavy in your feet and your hips, and your hands are light. Maybe you can even lift them off the mat. Then exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg lifts up behind you, flex that foot. Then slowly and with control on your exhale, bring your foot forward between your hands. Right knee drops, untuck your right toes. Inhale up, Anjaneyasana. Maybe you press forward and back in your left foot to warm up your right hip flexor. And then sink deeply, and on your exhale, hands plant to the inside of your left foot. Walk your left foot out to the side of your mat here for lizard pose. Once again, lots of options. Either stay on your hands, drop down to a prop, or your forearms. Make sure that your knee is stacked directly on top of your ankle, definitely not forward of your ankle. And if you'd like to roll to the outer edge of your left foot, just make sure that you flex it. If you'd like the quad stretch, go ahead and contract your hamstring to bring your right foot towards your glute. Then reach around with your left hand, grab your foot, and draw it closer to your body. And then unwind on your exhale, walk back up to your hands, bringing your foot in between your hands, and then on your exhale, shift back for half splits. Either keeping those toes planted or popping them up toward the sky. Just remember to draw your left hip back and in, and keep pulling your heart forward. Then inhale, come to all fours. Exhale, chest and chin to the mat. Inhale for cobra pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, look between your hands. On your exhale, walk or hop to the top of your mat, meeting in a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back, so your hands can either come to the floor or maybe blocks or somewhere on your legs. What's most important here is that you maintain that long spine. So your tailbone presses back, your belly button sucks up and in, your shoulders retract down your back, you look straight down, and your crown of head pulls forward. Then exhale, fold. Inhale, come up to standing, hinge at your hips. Exhale, hands to heart center. We'll go through a few Surya Namaskara A's, sun salutations. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, reach up and look up. Exhale, hinge at your hips, forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, plant your hands and step back to plank. We'll hold here for a few breaths, setting up our first plank. So drive your hands down into the mat. Make sure you're gripping the pads of your fingertips to alleviate pressure from your wrists. Wrists are directly under shoulders. Drishti, point of focus, is straight down below you. Crown of head pulls forward, shoulder blades retract, belly button sucks up and in. Keep that posterior tuck of your pelvis. Inner thighs are spinning up toward the ceiling, heels press back. Then either stick with the knees, chest, chin to cobra version, or inhale forward, exhale, come halfway down for chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog. In up dog, only your feet and hands are touching the ground. Exhale, hips high, downward facing dog. A few breaths here in your down dog. Your drishti, point of focus, is traditionally up at your belly button, but can also be anywhere between your legs. Inhale, look forward between your hands. On your exhale, either walk, hop, or float toward the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, hinge at your hips, come up to stand, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands to prayer at your heart. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step to plank, hold here. Gonna do a fun little exercise with your hips. So on your exhale, contract your outer left hip to bring your toes as far to the side as you can, staying in that plank position in the rest of your body. Then inhale, back to center. Exhale, right toes come out to the side. Inhale, back to center. Do this 2 more times each side. So this action is abduction, abduction of the hips. You should feel it right in your outer hip, right underneath your hip bones. Awesome, and once you're done, vinyasa, so either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga to cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, hips high, downward facing dog. Remember that anything I'm saying is just a suggestion. Make sure you're honoring your body and realize that your body's capabilities can change day to day, and that's okay. On your next inhale, look between your hands, make your way to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale brings you up to standing. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, reach up, look up. Exhale, hinge at your hips, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, plant your hands, step to plank. Either option to stay here in plank or follow along with me. Inhale your right toes off the mat. On your exhale, drive your right knee to your right elbow. Inhale back. Exhale, right knee to nose, maybe even they touch. Inhale back. Exhale, underneath to your left tricep. Inhale back, replace your right foot. Inhale, left foot off the mat. Exhale, drive your knee to your left elbow. Inhale back. Exhale, down the middle. Inhale back. Exhale, right tricep. Whew, that one got me. Exhale through a vinyasa, your version, or you can always skip it and go straight to downward facing dog. On your next inhale, look between your hands. Exhale, make your way to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. Go ahead and walk your feet out toward the edges of your mat. Toes are out slightly, heels are in, and then drop your seat for Malasana. Yogi squat. Maybe shift side to side here if that feels good for you, or stay in a static hold. If you have a block or another prop, feel free to place it underneath your hips here for a little support. Bring your hands to heart center, roll your shoulders back, and lift your heart forward. The tendency is to collapse forward in this posture. Really try to draw your chest forward. And if you're really craving a crow pose, if Bakasana is in your practice, feel free to take it now by planting your hands in front of you and lifting off. Otherwise, we'll stay here in this nice hip opener. Now really drive your feet into the ground. On your exhale, press to stand. Coming to Tadasana. So big toes touching, small space between your heels. Go ahead and take a big step to the side so you're in a wide leg position. You want your heels slightly out of your heels slightly out, toes slightly in, so that your heels track over your second and third toes. Then inhale, reach up toward the sky, look up. On your exhale, lead with your chest, hinge at your hips, forward fold. Prasarita Padottanasana. So start to bring the crown of your head toward the ground. It's okay if it doesn't reach, but that's the sensation you're going for. Maybe even walk your hands back in line with your feet. Hips are up toward the sky, kind of like in downward facing dog. Then inhale, hands come underneath your shoulders, halfway lift. On your exhale, toes come out, heels come in, and drop your seat for goddess. You can have your hands on your thighs, hands to heart center, in a mudra, wherever they are is perfectly fine. What we're really working here is our hips and thighs. So drive your feet into the ground and have the sensation of your heels pulling closer together without actually moving them. This will really zip up your inner thighs. Then inhale, press to standing, look up at your hands. Exhale, come back down to goddess. Inhale, press to stand, look up. Exhale, goddess. Inhale, one more time, press to stand. Exhale, goddess. This time we're going for a little side stretch, so stay deep in your hips and drop your right arm to the inside of your thigh. Maybe even your fingertips come down to the earth, and a big side stretch. Maybe even look underneath your left armpit to intensify the stretch. Inhale, back through center. Woo, a little wobbly there. Exhale, the other side. So left fingertips either come to your thigh or the ground. Right arm stretches overhead. Inhale, back up through center. Straighten your legs. once again, forward fold on your exhale. Now start to walk your hands toward your right foot. Your left foot will either grab your calf, ankle, or foot. Oops, sorry, I said foot, huh? Okay. Your left hand will grab your right leg or foot, and then start to bring your right hand up toward the sky. So we're in a twist here. Really try to spin your chest open toward the sky, and you'll start to feel an intense stretch on your outer hip and IT band. The more you turn up toward the sky. Then inhale, come back down through center, let your head hang. Start to walk your hands toward your left foot. Right hand grabs your left calf or ankle, and then bring your left hand up toward the sky, so you're in that twist. Really start to drop your left shoulder down your back and open your chest up toward the sky while pressing your hips back. You should feel a nice intense stretch along the outer part of your left thigh. And then inhale, come back through center. Halfway lift, flat back. On your exhale, bring your hands to your hips and come back to standing. We'll meet in Tadasana at the top of the mat. I'll face you for this. Okay. Start to drive your right foot into the mat and pop your left toes up. Knee comes toward chest. Your hands can be down to your sides or at heart center, wherever you feel more balanced. So options here, either interlace your hands around your left leg and draw your knee toward your chest, or if you know you have pretty flexible hamstrings, you can put your peace fingers around your big toe and extend your leg long, really driving through your heel. Either position is totally fine. We're still working flexion in our hip flexor. So wherever you are, we're going to start to externally rotate, bringing our leg out to the left. So you're either there or you're here. Now bring your hand towards your ankle and guide the sole of your foot to either inner right thigh or calf, or if you need a little help with balance today, you can do this kickstand position with your toes on the floor and your heel on your ankle. Wherever you are, we're going for a nice tree pose, Vrikshasana. So hands can come to heart center, or if you'd like to test your balance a bit more, you can grow your branches, maybe even sway them in the wind. If you're really feeling it today, you can even close your eyes and test your balance there. Then go ahead and release your foot, but drop your foot over your right thigh and sink down to a figure 4 chair pose. Make sure you're flexing your right or your left foot here. Then drop your foot to the ground for just a normal chair, Utkatasana. Exhale, fold over your legs and straighten. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale through your version of vinyasa. Maybe that's just going straight from plank to downward facing dog. Honor your body today. From down dog, lift your right leg up behind you. Exhale, step it forward for warrior 1. So your left foot spins down at a 45-degree angle, heel to heel or wider alignment. Inhale, arms reach up for warrior 1. Really working square hips toward the front of the mat. So draw your left hip forward, right hip back. Right knee is stacked directly on top of right ankle, pressing a lot through the outer edge of your left foot. Keep that posterior tilt of your pelvis here. If you let your tailbone lift, you can cause some pain in your low back. From here, start to drive your weight into your right foot.
Maybe you stay here with your left toes on the mat or pop your left foot up for warrior 3. Arms can remain back behind you, maybe hands come to heart center, or float it forward for the full variation of the posture. Make sure you're flexing your left foot and drawing your left heel, drawing your left hip down toward the earth. And then leading with your chest, start to drop your chest down toward the mat, coming into standing splits. So fingertips come toward the mat. If you'd like more of a challenge, one or both hands can come to your right ankle. Just keep stretching your left foot back behind you. And then on your exhale, drop your left foot down in a shortened warrior 1 stance. So we're coming into pyramid pose. You want heel to heel or wider alignment, all 10 toes pointing forward. Draw your right hip back in line with your left, and then exhale to fold over your right leg. You should feel a nice stretch in the back of your right leg. Go ahead and plant your hands and then hop your left foot back to your wide stance. Left hand plants. Inhale, right arm up to the sky for an easy twist. And then exhale, bring both hands back down to the mat. Start to shimmy your right foot to the left, coming into pigeon pose. So you want your right knee at your right wrist or even wider toward the outer edge of your mat. Shimmy your left leg back. Look back, make sure that your leg is straight back from the hip socket. Make sure your left hip is pointing down to the mat. Inhale for length and exhale, walk it forward to your version of sleeping pigeon. Maybe that's staying up on your hands or coming down to your forearms or your forehead. Wherever you are, try to let go of the muscular engagement throughout your body. Really focus on your outer right hip. Breathe deeply here and especially send your exhales to the point where you feel the tension. And then inhale, come back up to your hands. Curl your left toes under, lift your left knee off the mat, send your right foot back to three-legged dog. Start to open your hip up and drop your right foot towards your glute. Nice counter stretch to pigeon here. If Wild Thing is in your practice, feel free to take it there by watching your right foot come down toward the ground, lifting your hips up toward the sky, right hand reaches back. Then inhale, come back to downward facing dog. And on your next inhale, look between your hands. On your exhale, make your way to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, press to stand, hands to heart center. Now start to drive your left foot into the mat, bringing your right knee toward your chest. Same options here, either gather your right knee with your hands and bring it closer to your body, or peace fingers around your big toe, extend your right leg forward. From here, externally rotate, bringing your leg to the right side, so you're either there or you're here. Both are perfectly fine. Then grab your ankle with your hand and bring the sole of your foot to inner thigh or calf, or maybe the kickstand position. All of them are perfectly acceptable tree variations. Vrikshasana. You might notice one side is a lot easier than the other, both in the external rotation and also the balancing. Just notice that, take in that information without judgment. Then go ahead and release your foot and bring it across your left thigh for figure 4. And sit deeply in your hips. You should feel a nice stretch on your outer right hip. And then drop your foot to the ground for chair pose, Utkatasana. Exhale, fold over your legs, then straighten them. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale through a vinyasa, your version. Downward facing dog on your exhale. Inhale, left leg up toward the sky. Exhale slowly and with control, bring your foot forward by your left hand, setting up for warrior one. Inhale up. So right foot is planted at about a 45-degree angle, pressing a lot through the outer edge of your right foot. Posterior tuck in your pelvis. Right hip presses forward, left hip presses back. Knee stacked directly on top of ankle. Then start to shift your weight forward into your left foot, maybe coming just this far with your right toes on the mat, or pressing all the way to warrior three. Make sure your hips are even here, drawing your right hip down toward the mat. Then exhale, start to come forward for standing splits. So your crown of head is pressing toward the ground. Hands can come to the ground for support or maybe to your ankle for a little more challenge. Drop your right foot down to the ground for pyramid now, heel to heel or wider alignment, all 10 toes pressing forward. Left hip draws back, right hip draws forward. Inhale with a flat back, then exhale, keep that flat back as you fold over your front leg. Should feel a nice stretch in the back of your left leg. Now plant your right hand down, bring your right toes further back behind you, and inhale, left arm up for your twist. And bring your left hand back down to the mat and shimmy your left foot to the right for pigeon pose. Make sure your knee is out to the side of your mat. Right leg is straight back from its hip socket. Inhale for length. Exhale, walk it forward to your edge. Really try to keep your hips square and pointing both down toward the mat. Now walk back up onto your hands. Start to press into your hands. Pop your right knee off the mat. Extend back to three-legged dog. Stack your left hip on top of right and drop your left heel behind you for the counter stretch. Either stay here or drop it back to wild thing if that's in your practice. And then we'll all meet in downward facing dog. Go ahead and drop your knees to the edges of your mat, big toes come to touch, and sit your hips back for child's pose. Fingertips stretch forward, your chin or your forehead can come to rest on the mat or a prop. Just sink your chest down toward the mat wherever you are. Draw your hips back toward your heels. Take a few breaths here to reset. Allow your breath to slow down if it's become erratic. And then on your next inhale, come up to all fours and make your way to a seat. I'll face you for this. Extend your left leg out in front of you, bringing the sole of your right foot to the mat, and scoot that right foot close to your body. Sit upright on your sit bones, crown of head tall, shoulders back. Inhale for length, then exhale, twist to the left, hooking your arm to the outside of your thigh, or maybe just hugging your thigh. Wherever we are, we're twisting here from our middle thoracic spine, the space between our shoulder blades.
So with every inhale, get long through the crown of your head, and with every exhale, twist a little deeper. Then inhale, come back through center. We'll switch legs. Make sure you're driving the heel of your left foot, your right foot down into the mat. Left foot plants. Inhale for length, exhale, twist. Either hugging your thigh or elbow between thigh and torso. Sit bones plant down into the mat while you grow your spine tall. Then exhale, twist. Inhale, back through center. Now both legs long, feet are flexed. Really sit down through your sit bones. Roll your shoulder blades back. Inhale for length. Then exhale, lead with your chest, forward fold. Make sure you're maintaining that flat back as you fold. Then once you reach your edge, you can go ahead and drop your head and neck, releasing any tension in your spine. If you feel any low back pain here, please try bending your knees. Paschimottanasana. Then inhale, back up through center. Go ahead and plant your feet on the mat and come down to your back. Feet should be directly under hip, or that doesn't make sense. Feet are underneath knees. Make sure you're starting with that posterior tilt of your pelvis so that the lowest part of your back is flat on the floor. So keep that engagement in your hips and your abs. Then on your inhale, plant your hands to the mat and draw your hips up toward the sky for bridge pose. Setu Bandha Sarvangasana. If you'd like, you can interlace your fingers and roll your shoulders underneath your back here. We'll hold this for several breaths. Really plant through the inner edges of your feet and try to release any gripping in your glutes. And then if you took the clasp of your hands, release that. We'll all make our way down to the mat, one vertebra at a time, really elongating your tailbone down towards your heels. Then bring your knees toward your chest. You can either grab the outer edges of your feet for happy baby or your inner thighs. Either is perfectly acceptable. What we really want though is our ankles stacked on top of knees and tailbone down toward the mat. So if you're grabbing your feet and you have to compromise, your tailbone up in the air like this, maybe try grabbing your thighs instead. If you'd like to explore some movement here, you can rock side to side like a happy little baby, or maybe extend one or both legs for a wide-legged stretch. Then on your inhale, gather your knees toward your chest. Maybe even lift your head and shoulders off the mat, giving your legs a big hug. Maybe even your forehead and your knees meet, squeezing yourself into a tight little ball. And then on your exhale, release into Shavasana. Legs and arms come long. If you have any low back pain, I'd suggest a bolster or a pillow or a rolled up blanket underneath your knees. Try to get comfortable here. Slipping into Shavasana. Go ahead and close your eyes. Release your breath control. Allow your breath to return to its normal state. Take a moment to roll your shoulders underneath your back, creating some space behind your heart. Try to release the furrow in your brow. Allow your eyeballs and your tongue to slip back into the skull. Release any tension in your jaw. Allow your hips to spread apart ever so slightly. Allow your toes and your fingers to uncurl. Release any last bits of tension, either physical or emotional. And trust that you'll be supported by the earth underneath you. Imagine you're laying in a field of grass, looking up at a bright blue sky, watching the clouds pass. You might identify a cloud. Hey, that one looks like an elephant. And then it drifts away. You can do the same with your thoughts. They'll always be there, but try not to attach to them. Recognize that a thought popped up, identify it as such, and then let it pass. Eventually, the space between the thoughts will become greater and greater, and you'll slip into your meditative state. Start to invite deeper breaths into your body. Sending that breath down to your toes and your fingers, igniting some small movements. Maybe reach your arms overhead and stretch your toes down. Sway your hips side to side. And then make your way onto one side or the other, pausing in the fetal position for a few moments. Feeling the stability of the earth underneath you. And the aftermath of the work in your body. And keeping your eyes closed if that's okay for you. Make your way up to a comfortable seat. Planting your sit bones into the mat. And rolling your shoulders down your back. Crown of head is tall. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead. Palms touch. Then exhale, bring your hands down to heart center. Slight tuck of your chin for devotion. Thank yourself for showing up today, and thank your body for allowing you to do this work. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I hope you have a great day.